This family is worth more than the Waltons, richer than the Kochs, yet you've probably never seen their faces or heard their voices. The Mars family has spent a century building the largest private company in America while maintaining absolute silence. But here's the thing nobody talks about. Their obsession with secrecy isn't just about privacy. It's about control. They've created a food empire so vast that they literally decide what millions of Americans eat every single day. And they've done it all from the shadows. And what I'm about to show you will change how you see every candy bar, every pet food commercial, and every trip to the grocery store, forever. Right now, as you're watching this, there's a 90% chance you have something made by the Mars family within arm's reach. That Snickers bar in your desk drawer? Mars. The M&Ms in your kitchen cabinet? Mars. That bag of pedigree dog food? Also Mars. Even that pack of Orbit gum in your car? You guessed it. Mars. But here's what's absolutely mind-blowing. Despite controlling what goes into the mouths of hundreds of millions of people every single day, the Mars family has given exactly 0 interviews to major media outlets in the past decade. 0. When Forbes tried to interview them for their billionaire rankings, they were told simply, "The Mars family does not speak to press." This isn't just being private. This is operating like a shadow government of food. The numbers are staggering. Mars Incorporated generates over $50 billion in revenue annually. That's more than McDonald's and Starbucks combined. Their collective family fortune? A mind-bending $120 billion. That makes them the second richest family in America, behind only the Waltons of Walmart fame. But unlike the Waltons, who at least show up to shareholder meetings, the Mars family has perfected the art of invisible control. The story begins in 1911 with a man named Frank Mars, and it's nothing like the polished corporate origin stories you usually hear. Frank wasn't born into wealth. He was a sickly kid from Minnesota who learned to make candy from his mother while bedridden with polio. Picture this. A young boy, unable to walk, spending months learning the precise art of tempering chocolate and mixing caramel. His mother, Alva, would bring him ingredients, and together they'd experiment with different recipes. What started as a way to pass time during illness became an obsession with perfection. But here's where the story takes its first dark turn. Frank's early business ventures failed spectacularly. His first candy company went bankrupt. His second attempt collapsed when his business partner ran off with the money. By 1911, Frank Mars was 27 years old, twice divorced, and nearly broke. Most people would have given up. Frank Mars doubled down. He moved to Tacoma, Washington with just $800 and a dream that seemed impossible: to create candy that could compete with the established giants like Hershey. Working out of a tiny kitchen, Frank began developing what would become the foundation of an empire, the Milky Way bar. But the real genius wasn't Frank. It was his son, Forrest Mars Sr., and their relationship was about to explode in a way that would reshape American business forever. In 1923, something happened that would change everything. Frank Mars created the Milky Way bar, and it became an instant sensation. Sales exploded from $72,800 in 1923 to over $800,000 by 1924. The Mars Company was suddenly a major player. Enter Forrest Mars Sr., Frank's son. Fresh out of Yale, with big ideas and an even bigger ego, Forrest looked at his father's success and saw mediocrity. He wanted to expand internationally, modernize production, and build a global empire. Frank wanted to keep things simple, local. The tension reached a breaking point in 1932, in what has to be one of the most dramatic family business confrontations in American history. Frank Mars called his son into his office and delivered an ultimatum that would echo through generations. "Take this," Frank said, handing Forrest the foreign rights to the Milky Way bar and a check for $50,000. "And get out. Build your own company." Most sons would have been devastated. Forrest Mars Sr. saw it as liberation. He moved to England and did something audacious. He reverse-engineered his own father's candy bar and created the Mars bar for the European market. But that was just the beginning. In England, Forrest discovered something that would become the crown jewel of the Mars empire: candy-coated chocolates that wouldn't melt in your hand. Working with Bruce Murray, yes, the M in M&M's, Forrest developed what would become the most recognizable candy in the world. But here's the part that will blow your mind. M&M's were originally created as military rations. The hard candy shell was designed to prevent chocolate from melting in soldiers' pockets during World War II. The U.S. military became Mars' first major customer, ordering millions of M&M's for troops overseas. By the time soldiers returned home, they were addicted to these colorful little chocolates. Mars had essentially used the U.S. military as a massive focus group. Frank Mars died in 1934, and something unexpected happened. Instead of celebrating his independence, Forrest felt empty. He realized that beating his father meant nothing if there was no father left to beat. In 1964, 30 years after his father's death, Forrest returned to America and did something unprecedented in corporate history. He merged his successful European operation with his father's American company, creating a unified Mars empire. But Forrest didn't just want to run a candy company. He wanted to build a dynasty that would last forever. So he created what insiders call the Mars Rules, a set of principles that would govern the family business for generations. Rule number 1, never go public, ever. The moment you have shareholders, you lose control. Rule number 2, never give interviews. The press is not your friend. Rule number 3, family members must work in the business for at least 10 years before they can inherit significant ownership. Rule number 4, quality is non-negotiable. Every product must meet the highest standards. Rule number 5, think in decades, not quarters. These weren't just business principles. They were the foundation of a secret empire. Here's where the story gets really fascinating. While other billionaire families like the Kochs became political powerhouses and the Waltons became retail royalty, the Mars family chose a different path: invisible influence. They don't lobby Congress directly. They don't fund political campaigns. They don't build universities with their names on them. Instead, they control something far more powerful: what America eats. Think about it. Mars doesn't just make candy. They own Wrigley, which means they control the gum market. They own massive pet food brands like Pedigree, Whiskas, and Royal Canin. That's control over what 70% of American pets eat. They've expanded into rice with Uncle Ben's, pasta sauces, and even healthy snacks. But here's the truly mind-bending part. They've done all of this while remaining completely private. Mars Incorporated has never issued a single share of public stock. They've never had to report quarterly earnings. They've never had to explain their decisions to anyone outside the family. This gives them a superpower that public companies can only dream of: the ability to make long-term decisions without worrying about stock prices. Today, the Mars empire is controlled by the third and fourth generations of the family. John Franklin Mars and Jacqueline Mars each have a net worth of $46.5 billion. Victoria Mars, representing the fourth generation, is worth $11.6 billion. But here's what makes them different from every other billionaire family. They still work in the business. John Mars didn't just inherit his fortune. He spent decades working in Mars factories, learning every aspect of production. Jacqueline Mars worked her way up through the ranks, starting in entry-level positions. Victoria Mars, the current face of the fourth generation, has taken this philosophy even further. She's expanded Mars into health-conscious snacking, organic pet foods, and sustainable agriculture. But she's done it all while maintaining the family's legendary secrecy. When Victoria was asked by a business journalist about the family's expansion strategy, her response was classic Mars. "We prefer to let our products speak for themselves. But this obsession with secrecy has a dark side." In 2001, John Mars was involved in a car accident that killed an 86-year-old woman. The story barely made national news. Why? Because the Mars family's media strategy isn't just about avoiding interviews. It's about controlling information. They've mastered the art of making bad news disappear. When Mars factories have had safety violations, the stories get buried. When there are questions about their supply chain practices, they simply don't respond to media inquiries. This isn't just corporate PR. This is information warfare. The family has also been criticized for their labor practices. Former employees describe a culture of extreme secrecy, where workers are required to sign extensive non-disclosure agreements. Some describe it as working for the CIA of candy companies. Here's what should terrify and fascinate you. The Mars family is just getting started. While other food companies struggle with changing consumer preferences, Mars has been quietly positioning itself for the future. They're investing heavily in sustainable agriculture, not because they care about the environment, but because they understand that controlling the supply chain is the ultimate form of power. They're buying up cocoa farms in Africa, rice paddies in Asia, and even investing in lab-grown meat alternatives. Victoria Mars recently said in one of her rare public statements, "The future of food isn't about what people want to eat today. It's about what they'll need to eat tomorrow." That's not a business strategy. That's a declaration of intent to control the future of human nutrition. But here's the most shocking part of this entire story. The secret that the Mars family has kept hidden for over a century. They're not just building a food empire. They're building a model for how the ultra-wealthy can maintain control in the modern world. Think about it. While the Bezos and Musks of the world fight for attention on social media, while the Kochs wage public political battles, the Mars family has achieved something far more powerful. They've become invisible while controlling something essential to daily life. They've proven that in the age of information, the ultimate power isn't being seen. It's being unseen, while controlling what matters most. Every time you buy a Snickers bar, every time you feed your dog pedigree, every time you chew a piece of Orbit gum, you're participating in their system of invisible control. And the most brilliant part? You probably never even thought about it. Until right now. The Mars family has spent 113 years building the perfect shadow empire. They control what America eats. They've amassed one of the largest fortunes in human history, and they've done it all while remaining completely invisible. That's not just business success. That's the blueprint for ultimate power in the 21st century. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.